Please forgive my use of an AI voiceover in this video. My own voice isn't doing so fair of late. For a thoughtful comparison between modern political ideologies and traditional Torah Judaism, it helps to avoid treating Torah Judaism as simply right-wing or left-wing. Traditional Torah thought often shares certain values with multiple political movements, while differing from all of them in important ways. First off, we must define the terms political ideology and traditional Torah Judaism. Political ideology is a set of ideas, beliefs, values, and principles that explains how society should, a subjective term, be organized, how political power should be distributed, and what the proper role of government, individuals, institutions, and the economy ought to be. It provides a framework for interpreting political events, justifying policies, and mobilizing support for or opposition to change. There are a few core elements to a typical political ideology: a diagnosis of what is wrong or correct with the current society, a vision of the ideal or good society, a strategy for moving from the present to that desired future, reform, revolution, preservation, etc., and finally, moral and practical claims about human nature, justice, equality, freedom, authority, tradition, progress, and the common good. Traditional Torah Judaism points to the form of Judaism that seeks to be most strictly adherent to the Torah, both written and oral, and the full body of mitzvot, commandments, as interpreted and transmitted through rabbinic tradition. It is essentially synonymous with Pharisaic Orthodox Judaism, particularly its more traditional or Haredim practices. It is what is respectfully called Mosaic Judaism from Sinai, Horeb. Therefore, we can safely say that Torah Judaism is a comprehensive divine worldview that cannot be fully identified with any modern political ideology, although it may overlap with aspects of several. The sources for both couldn't be grounded in a more diametric, not necessarily oppositional worldview, but one in which the authority for each are founded on very different foundations. Our current modern-day political ideologies find their source, or authority, in popular consent, social contract, human reason, constitutional frameworks, and historical development. However, traditional Torah Judaism derives its authority and source from divine revelation at Mount Sinai with the giving and accepting of the Torah, followed by halacha, the way of walking, living, and rabbinic tradition. Political ideologies generally view authority as human-created, whereas Torah Judaism views ultimate authority as God-given and expressed in Hashem's Torah of Moshe. One of the biggest divides between today's political worldview and that of the Torah is how each views individual rights versus individual responsibilities. Most, not all, liberal and conservative political thought place emphasis on personal autonomy, where individual rights are primary. In Torah Judaism can be found the foundation for recognition of human dignity. However, greater emphasis on obligations, mitzvot, than rights. The individual and national duties are prioritized toward God, family, community, and overall society at large. Modern politics often asks, "What am I entitled to?" Torah asks, "What am I obligated to do?" Political ideology strives, in some not all, for freedom from restraint and self-determination. The Torah perspective defines freedom as moral discipline, liberation from slavery to desires, and dedicated to the love and service of Hashem for the benefit of our fellows. So then, from the political and Torah perspective, what is the role of politics and government? The two main political ideologies prevalent today are progressive liberal thought and conservative thought. There are, of course, several offshoots of these two main paths, but when broken down, they all follow the same outline. The progressive wing want active government involvement and social reform, whatever that might mean. Conservative thought always seeks, or so they claim, limited government and preservation of national tradition. Torah Judaism agrees that a government is necessary for justice and order. Kings, judges, and courts possess authority as designed in the Torah. Government is morally accountable to divine law. Torah supports neither absolute state power nor unrestricted individualism. Where there is government involved, then other conservations must be looked at from the political and Torah-centric views. Areas such as economic justice, social welfare, and compassion for the less fortunate in society, family and communal structure, equality and human worth, law and order with justice, nationhood and universalism, and the realities of human nature. All these, the political ideologies throughout human history, have tried to bring about some kind of human-centric way of life, and for the most part have failed. Without breaking each of these categories down, I think it can all be summed up in just a few short sentences. Modern political views sees humans as basically good, self-interested, or socially conditioned, depending on that particular political philosophy. Torah Judaism accurately reveals that humans possess both noble and selfish inclinations. Most importantly, the Torah stresses that moral growth is possible, while personal accountability to both God and humanity is essential. Torah Judaism is not merely a religion, but a complete worldview. It shares a concern for tradition with conservatism, for the vulnerable with progressivism, and respect for personal responsibility with classical liberalism. Yet it differs from all modern political ideologies because it grounds ethics, law, and human purpose in divine revelation rather than human theories. The central question of political ideology is often, how should society be organized? The central question of Torah Judaism is, how should human beings live in covenant with God and one another? Thank you for watching, reading, and sharing this look at political versus Torah-centric Judaism. Please like, subscribe, and share. This is Shmuel ben Shlomi wishing you a shalom.